Hello, superfans. Welcome to Alberta News and Views and the Alberta Report podcast on YouTube. Mark Carney has just dropped his 2025-2026 budget, and the numbers are absolutely astounding. Here is Roman Babber breaking it down for us. It's unsustainable. It's unbelievable.
$78.3 billion is Mark Carney's projected deficit for 2025-2026. This is Roman Babber, Conservative Member of Parliament from York Centre, City Conservative. I'm just reading the budget. I just finished listening to the budget presentation and Pierre's reply, which was excellent. The Conservatives will not be supporting this budget. It's not an affordable budget. Today's deficits are tomorrow's taxes, and today's deficits is tomorrow's inflation. And adding $78 billion will also add to a debt of $1,347 billion before the end of this pending fiscal year. And it's also important to note that our interest charges for this year will be over $55 billion, which is more than Canada collects in GST. Imagine everything we pay in federal excise tax will go to service our debt. And finally, one other thing to point is Mark Carney is going to attempt to say that $40 billion out of this projected deficit is investments. He's allocating this deficit. He's dividing it to say that $40 billion is investments. Nonsense. We borrow it, we pay interest on it, and we're not going to see revenues from it. This is a disaster, liberal budget. Future generations will be paying this money off forever. We desperately need a Conservative government to come and fix this country's books. I'm Roman Babber speaking.
Absolutely. Canada right now is a country. It is a country that is built off of debt. It is an immigration economy built off of debt. We don't generate enough income to support the Canada of old. Productivity is down, everything is down. I found a clip that breaks it down so perfectly. Every Canadian should be talking about our inflation, our government spending and debt, and servicing the debt, and how unsustainable it is. What this is going to look like for future generations. It's crazy. Listen to this.
Tom's point, the scale of deficits, I was on your show just a couple days ago, Bashing, and I quoted the number from the fall economic update. $53 billion per year is what we're paying to service the debt. In the budget that was just tabled today, it's now over $70 billion. Again, to put that number in perspective, if as a revenue stream, you would have to have a 15% GST in this country to draw in the revenue necessary just to pay for the cost of servicing our debt. And that number is only going to grow over time. Another thing I noted, and I think it's worth mentioning as well, Vashi, is a clear pivot away from a lot of the policy legacy of Justin Trudeau in this budget, right? We saw it early with the elimination of the consumer carbon tax, the flip-flop backwards on the capital gains tax proposals that Minister Freeland put in place, the emissions caps that have now been reversed on as well. And then there's this admission, in the budget document itself, it says this, quote, if Canada's productivity growth had matched the United States from 2017 to 2023, the median income of a family of one child would be nearly $11,000 higher. Just explicitly in the budget saying that the last 10 years have failed. And that's text from a budget being delivered by François-Philippe Champagne, who was a key minister in that government. I don't know how these ministers are going to frankly survive if there's going to be credibility behind the actions of pivoting away from Justin Trudeau's policies, if his ministers are the people who are delivering lines like that.
Yeah, exactly. Those ministers are the ones that got us in this predicament to begin with. It's unbelievable. If anybody out there is wondering how Canada got to the point it's at right now, it's not just because of Justin Trudeau. It's because of an incompetent government with incompetent ministers that are extremely underqualified for their jobs. They are literal minions to globalists that are very smart, that have exploited and infiltrated this country still to this day, to this very second. It's all still there. I call it the blob. all roads lead to Western independence. It doesn't have to be this way. All you have to do is look at other countries that have went down this path, like Venezuela. How does a country with so much wealth have so little? Canada is built off of a mountain of debt, and they are still building it because heaven forbid they should stop. Maybe stop what you're doing if it's not working. Instead, they just put in a new talking head and continue on the same path that have led them to this disaster, that are still leading them to policies that don't work. And that's what this guy was saying. This gentleman was saying. How is this government going to convince Canadians when its ministers are the very people that have stacked up this debt and got them to where they are right now with the food crisis, the education crisis, the healthcare crisis, the housing crisis? Canada has massive copper mines and gold mines. The copper mines are shutting down because of environmental and infrastructure costs, bunch of things, and operating costs. Canada has zero gold reserves, and we mine the gold. We give it to other countries to invest. This is what I mean by exploited. This doesn't just happen. You have to have talking heads that create policy and make trade deals for stuff like that. Today, I have watched so many videos with so many economists around the world talking about the Canadian budget and the Canadian people. They cannot figure out how Canadians are still supporting and voting for this government that punishes them every single day of their life. And they always, all these economists, every single one of them always talks about taxes and how the middle class in Canada is getting taxed so bad. It's astounding to them that Canadians put up with it. All roads lead to Western independence or Alberta independence or 51st state, something, some form of independence built by the people for the people. Alberta needs the Constitution. Canada's gone. It doesn't need it anymore. The best case scenario for Canada is dissolve the federal government. Get rid of it. We don't need it anyway. It doesn't do anything. It really doesn't. What does the federal government do for all of the provinces at this point? Best case scenario for Canada, dissolve the federal government, complete reform, all of the provinces gain independence, set up their own trade deals, and get a hold of their provinces. That would be the best thing for Canada. And then maybe restart a Canada country from scratch with reform. But I'm telling you, all roads lead to Western independence. With Alberta, the better half of BC, the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. You guys got to get your shit together. I will keep you updated with as much as I can when I can. All of you out there, like, share, and take care.